Hi everyone, welcome back to Life at University. Been there, done that. It's been a while since we shot this, but today we have someone really special on the podcast, Vatsal Mathur from Cranfield University. And before I go into the conversation, let's have Vatsal say hi to all of you and just introduce himself to each one of you. Hi Vatsal, how are you today?
I'm good, Shiv. So my name is Vatsal. I studied here at Cranfield. I did my Masters of Management, and now, believe it or not, I'm working as an auditor with Mazars. So yeah, that's basically about me. I've been here since about 3 years now, roughly. Going to be 3 years.
Right. So how was your experience at university? You've graduated in 2021, is it?
Yes.
Yes. And since then, how long did it take you to find a job? How long have you been working for, roughly?
Surprisingly, I had to submit my thesis early because I got a job. So
Okay.
I had to start my job on the 5th of September and I had submitted 6th of September, sorry. It was a Monday and I submitted my thesis on the 4th of September on a Saturday. So not too, no, I did not have to wait much. But finding a job was annoying. Yeah.
Right. So your time at Cranfield, let me ask you this question because a lot of students come to ask me this question, and I'm sure you must have gotten it too as part of the SU, which we will talk about later. Was Cranfield your first choice as university, or did you go through different applications and then you decided to go for Cranfield in the end?
So yes, I did go through multiple applications. I had offers from at some stage. I had offers from a couple of major colleges in London. I had offer from a couple colleges in up north as well, and then there was Cranfield, and there was I'm forgetting the name now.
Okay.
Warwick.
I can imagine. It happened to me too. Coming from Warwick today, I don't remember except for one or two universities. I don't remember any other names.
Yeah.
And I remember the rejections, of course.
Yeah, those I will cherish. Those I'll cherish. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember looking at my application to Imperial, and they're like, "We unfortunately cannot take you through." And I'm like, "Cool, no worries. I have other options. I have better options now."
Yeah.
So thank you.
Right.
But yeah. So when I did a basic SWOT analysis, figured out what is more important to me, and honestly, again, looking at the affordability, looking at the ROI, all of those things came into picture, and then Cranfield came out on top amongst all of the universities. I think the second option would have been Warwick, but Cranfield came out on top in that basic analysis. So.
Right. So when you say that affordability, location, different options, you applied to many, got rejections, how do you decide what university? A lot of students, when they ask me, this is the location, should I go for it or not? If the university is outside of, say, London specifically, or if it's outside of England, should I take it? Should I not take it? Will it change my experience? What, according to you, is the experience now after you've been in Cranfield? Does it make a difference where the university is in the UK?
Depends on multiple things, but most importantly is what do you want to do after? So when we come from India, the problem with quite a few students which I see is that the mindset is what we had during our undergrad as well. Because in India, we are never coached in terms of what is the life after. It's usually just finish your engineering, finish your medical, finish your BCom, whatever you're doing in your undergrad, and then you figure out what's next. And the problem is sometimes those tendencies tend to follow us here as well when we are coming out and we are choosing universities abroad. Now, why I say that is if someone wants to go into aeronautics,
yeah,
I would rather have them go somewhere close to Bristol than to London. Because that's where the factories are, that's where people are going. You're eventually going to move there anyways if you get a job. Plus, since you're going to be there, there's a better chance that you'll have more interaction with the industry, with your university. Well, basically, your university will have more interactions with the industry and stuff like that. So that plays a major part in those sort of things. Now, when it comes to management, I believe all three big cities have the opportunities. I think closeness to London does help, especially when you're coming from a management sort of a field, because that's where everything else is.
Right.
But then you also have you also have your Oxfords and your Birminghams and your
Cambridge.
Cambridges and all. So obviously, if you're going to those cities as well, again, it comes down to what do you want to do.
Right.
So that is where the decision matters. Now, finally coming to your last question initially, does it matter? I would say it's a 50-50 sort of a thing.
Right.
Some universities do take advantage of it, some don't. So that is, you need to see of what your university is doing. Like at the time of selection, you need to see what sort of papers are being published, what sort of work is being done at the university, and that will give you a lot of idea of maybe a university in the middle of nowhere will might have better research, better opportunities than a university dead center in London.
Right. No, I think you made a very interesting point there when you mentioned that depending on what you want to study, you should decide your university. Like you mentioned about aeronautics, so you should go closer to, say, a city like Bristol. But I don't think students consider that. But it is so important to look into that. That where is it that your industry lies in all over the UK instead of just looking at, okay, that's just London, but that's beyond that,
Yeah,
which is
well, it seems like a small country, but it's big. And I have friends. So Cranfield itself is a highly focused aeronautics university.
right.
They're one of the leaders in this field.
Okay.
We have a whole full size runway in the middle of our university where we can land like the big jumbo jets, like an A380 probably can land. I'm not very sure, but yes, we have at least 2-3 747s there. The
Right.
point is, when my friends do study in Cranfield, yes, everyone gets placed, everyone gets a job. But at the end of the day, quite a few of them have come to me and we have had this discussion and said that maybe if we move to Bristol in the first place, that has saved a lot of hassle afterwards because finding a job for again the university like Cranfield, that's why I said the research becomes an important part.
Yeah.
University like Cranfield does work a lot on these things. So obviously you'll have a better opportunity in aeronautics in Cranfield than say I don't know, maybe an Imperial because Imperial will do more on the management part of it or more on the research part of it. Cranfield is more industry. We call it industry obsessed, which is a wrong word, but that is what we are. We are industry obsessed people there. So that's one of the reasons. So for us, maybe living in Cranfield would have been is as I said, that's why it's 50-50 answer. You have to weigh both the
Yeah.
options.
Right.
Cranfield gave me an opportunity to look more into that, then move to Bristol. But if you're getting into a university which is not, it's a equal say between the two universities, then I would rather move to Bristol for that field.
Right. So from a personal point of view, do you think going to a university that is quite industry specific, especially what you want to study, helps you find a
Mhm.
job eventually? Or you have an edge over other applicants, say if you were coming from Warwick and there's the student from Cranfield who has this industry specific strong knowledge base and the kind of grooming that the university gives you, does that person have an edge according to you? Just a personal experience probably.
I guess yes. And the reason is, again, when we come to studies, when we come try and select something for studies, and being very honest, funnily enough, when I was researching and I used to listen to podcasts and conversations like these, I always thought, why is no one being very specific?
Right.
Now I know why. So my answers gonna sound vague, but when you think about it, it makes a lot more sense. The reason why you have an edge is because the knowledge you have gained is coming more from what's required in the industry than academia, which is a big factor. Because when you are doing something with the industry, you are currently working with them on projects. Most of my friends work with I don't know, Airbuses and Boeings and basically every major company you can think of in terms of motorsports and aerospace. I have friends working there.
Right.
So when that happens, you end up seeing more like you know more of what industry needs rather than what's there in the open resources and books and stuff like that. So that is what makes the difference.
Yeah, that's amazing. Even the first conversation that we had, and I did point it out then
Yeah.
as well, that this is such an interesting thing that no one has ever spoken about, and something that even I have not heard from someone specifically saying
Mhm.
or mentioning it. So that's why I feel it's so important for all students, especially aspiring students now who've taken admission out there, so they're settled in.
Yeah.
But somebody who's planning to come, say, in 2023 September,
Mhm.
or January students are starting their batch tomorrow, which is 16 January, or I think the next week. But for
Mhm.
people who are coming in September and the following years, it's so important to know that what university you choose is not just based on the location, but then the industry matters. What are they teaching that matters? Is the university research based, or are they industry specific in terms of building your professional skills and not just teaching you the theoretical parts of everything?
The approach also changes when you're industry-based organization, right? You focus more on soft skills as well,
Yeah.
not just the hard skills, which is essential.
Right.
Specifically, when you're moving to a different culture, different aspect, and a lot of these things come into play, right? The work culture is completely different than what we used to in our part of the world. So when you come abroad, the soft skill becomes essential. The soft skill part of it unfortunately, it has to be taught
Yes.
because some people learn it. That's
Yeah.
a but those people are rare and far and few between. So you have to basically learn the cultural aspect of it as well.
Yeah.
So that's where these universities might have a little bit of an edge.
Right.
Plus, you are interacting with the industry through and through as a part of your course. So for you, automatically those soft skills have to come into use at some stage or the other. Right? You won't get your project through until unless the person you're working within the firm is going to approve it. So then your academia and your industry works side by side. You get exposure to that already before you even need to start looking for a job.
Right. So when we talk about your course, MSc Management in
Mhm.
Cranfield, so anyone who's aspiring to study in Cranfield or aspiring to study MSc Management in the UK, can you talk about what the curriculum is like and how is MSc Management taught in the UK? Which is something so many students ask, how are we going to be assessed? Is it going to be exams? Is it going to be essays? Because when I did international relations, I was supposed to submit essays, so I had no exams during my
Mhm.
term. But then there are universities who also hold exams and essays, and then there are like online submissions and whatnot. So, what was your curriculum like, and how did they assess students from your university?
So the curriculum is more towards basing you around what works in the industry. How
Okay.
do you manage a business? So you're taught every aspect of it. So strategy, marketing, those are my favorite subjects. So those are the first coming to my head. Accounting.
Yeah.
So basically anything you need to run a business,
Yeah.
right? People skills, HR, different HR modules.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the basic idea of the curriculum. Yes, they get into specifics. So marketing is the strategic marketing. Then then there's a generic marketing as well. You have different sorts of strategy subjects. So again, that is what you have an option of choosing some electives.
Right.
In terms of assessment, it was both. There was a final thesis which was required, which was based on an internship project, which is another thing that not a lot of universities offer. I'll explain that once I finish the other part of it.
Yeah.
So we obviously have some sort of there will be some exams. Some subjects do require exams.
Right.
Then a lot of them were research based as well. So you had to make some was making a whole marketing plan for someone. So it's a combination of assignments, exams, and the finally you're assessed of a thesis.
Right.
Uh, Coming to the thesis, as a part of our course, it was not a 12-month course; it was a 13-month course for us. So
Wow.
at the end of the course, the last for 3 to 4 months were based on an internship, which the
Right.
university usually sources for us. If you have sourced something else, good enough. But if the university sources those internships, and they are basically with industry, so you're working in the industry properly, like how an internship should work, which not too many MSc management programs in UK offer.
Yeah,
So
I don't think
basically,
so.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you're basically working that, and that's where you're gonna it is more of a practical than a research paper. Where it's more of a solution to the industry problem than a research paper. Those are projects basically with a problematic projects.
One thing I can tell you that I would have not said this, but now after having spoken to you about 2 times, I've fallen in love with Cranfield, because the way you explain it and you tell me that they prepare you for the industry, and I kind of hate the fact that if you go to university, no matter in the UK or in India or in the US or Australia, whatever it is that you're going, but if the university just teaches you theory, and I'm like, what is an individual going to do when they graduate? I mean, you don't have the skills, you don't have the soft skills as well, say, for instance, if you don't have them, and then you're not prepared for the industry after having spent a master's year, 2 years, 3 years, depending on what you took. And then you're just out there looking for jobs and complaining, I'm not getting a job.
That's very essential.
And this happens all the time, because I feel so many universities just teach you the theoretical part but do not prepare you for the industry. And that's where you keep stressing about Cranfield. And I feel like, let me go back and start again, because I'm not saying I wasn't prepared for the industry, but what if I was better prepared for the industry is what I'm trying to look at here.
Makes a lot of difference, being very honest. And especially you run your own startup. You are also an employer, so you see these problems on your day-to-day basis. I had done this earlier as well. So when I decided to go do a master's after leaving my one decent job,
Yeah.
I had the first thing that came into my head was, when I transition from one work culture to the other, I want to be in a place where I know what it is before I get out.
Right. So following on from the previous question where we spoke about how the universities, how the structure of a university really makes a difference. Say, for instance, if a university is not as much industry based, what is that one advice during university time would you offer to a student, say, to build their skills, industry specific skills?
There's one skill that covers most of the things you need to be in the real business world, and that is public speaking.
Yes.
That is one skill. If you can, it's intimidating for some people. It is very, very scary, and I understand.
Right.
But that's one skill. If you can work on, use some courses, use some help. And I'm pretty sure, I think most UK universities, or at least most reputed UK universities, have something or the other, either in terms of society or in terms of some sort of curriculum help, or in terms of even the career services, who might be able to help you a little bit more on building these sort of soft skills. So public speaking is something you can use your university. If not, you can also go on online courses in Coursera and stuff like that. That actually is the one skill that I would recommend everyone to learn.
Yeah.
Or to, if not even master, just be comfortable in your own skin at the end of the day, because that's the most important thing.
Yeah. I think I completely, 120% agree with this, because every time anyone asks me how do I improve my communication skills, I feel so proud of them, because they realize the fact how important it is to communicate effectively, or to talk in a way that you feel confident. It doesn't matter what kind of words you're using. It doesn't matter which, if you have, I don't want to get into that topic, but if you have an Indian accent, or if you're intimidated coming to the UK, listening to the UK accent, because it's so different, it's difficult to understand sometimes when you first start, but just to be able to talk confidently, that's it. And when they ask me that, I'm like, okay, you've already gone past the first step, you realize it's important. Now these are the steps that you can do. And something that I highly recommend everyone, amongst the other things which I also did, was to watch movies with subtitles on. And even till date, I watch movies with subtitles on, not just because probably there are parts I might not be able to understand, or might not be able to listen to properly, depending on the accent of the movie where it's coming from, but then also because there might just be something to learn from, just a phrase, just a word I might be interested in. So yeah, I think I 100% agree with you on that.
And the intimidation about picking up the accents and all, sometimes I feel is too. It's just the fear which we keep in ourselves as international students, because once you are in London, if you're walking down any street in London, you'll hear at least 17 different languages.
Absolutely, yes.
So no one cares about the accents out here, more or less. Until unless you're in a very conservative area, which is true for everywhere in the world. I mean, if I go to some place in Rajasthan where I come from,
Yeah.
there's a good chance I will not pick up what accent they're saying because although I speak the language.
Right.
So that is a different case. But if you're coming to the major cities, you should be able to. You should not be that intimidated with the accents because, and also I think UK has a very big Asian community as well. So that is one. The intimidation should not be there. Yes, you have to work on it. Then, like
Absolutely.
learning the skills is what you're right.
Yeah.
Audiobooks nowadays, podcasts, audiobooks, they're the best things to do.
Definitely.
Listen to podcasts. You can pick up a lot of things from there, like a lot of phrases and
Yeah.
words. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, even if you're not interested, like some people find certain things not to their interest. Even if you're not interested in that, I also say like watch kids movies. They're
yeah.
funny, they're cute, and they use like the simplest of language. So if you're like a beginner, then you can always watch like a nice movie. What are the good kids movies like? I don't know, maybe one of them, and then you can pick words from there. And the intimidation with the accent, I think when somebody has that question that will I be able to understand how they speak, I always tell them you can always ask. I think UK is one of the politest countries we can think about, and they're always ready to help you, and they're always ready to like repeat themselves. So if anyone asks me what should I do if I don't understand, like what if I don't understand my lecturers or if I don't understand my professors, and I go like just ask them again. It is that simple. And I think some students just overthink and overstress about it. That what if I'm not able to understand? And I'm like, just ask again, and they will explain you again.
And they emphasize on it. Honestly, they emphasize on it.
Yeah.
The professors love to be challenged
Yes.
intellectually as well as verbally at times.
Yeah.
Because they are also very aware of they have to cater to large international audiences now. They are also very aware of it.
Yeah.
So if you challenge them on that aspect of it, it grows their knowledge, which is very good for them, which they appreciate on your behalf as well, and they'll appreciate you as a person to come up to them and just ask the question. That
Yeah.
also helps building relationships, which I
Yeah.
might come down to later on when
Yeah.
we talk about something regarding jobs. I
Yeah.
will come to that topic as well, where relations come in.
Let's get into jobs actually, because it is a very commonly asked question and a commonly asked confusion amongst most students or aspiring students. But I'm going to go back to the first or the second point we made, where I asked you that you have been part of the SU as the international officer. Um, how much of a difference does that make? I mean, firstly, I would want to break it down into two things. How does one become part of the SU as a student if one is interested? Because there we have a lot of leaders coming from all across the globe who want to be part of SU. So how does one go about that? And secondly, while finding a job, do you think having an SU position on your CV or resume makes a difference when you compare it to other candidates, or is it just the experience that matters, but in a CV it's not what really counts? I mean, it does count, but to what extent is my question.
I think nowadays, with the first sort of CV screening, these things have started becoming more and more important because when employer puts the CVs through an AI system, it just picks up stuff like leadership. It picks up these sort of keywords,
Right.
right? So if you're, and this is purely in the sense of CV, it gives you an edge because you have that experience, and then you can justify what you had picked up. When they ask you a question, they will ask you what did it. If anything is on your CV, they might ask you about it. So then it's easier to justify, and then that's where experience comes in. Now, in terms of how to become part of the SU, there are a lot of different. Every university does it differently. In Cranfield, we have election,
Okay.
so we had a proper democratic election, and surprisingly, we have three options. Obviously, that's you want to vote for the person, you don't want to vote for the person, and you do not care.
Right.
I have the most. I want to vote for him, and at the same time, I was polarizing enough to have. I do not want to vote for him because I went in with a strategy of I want to cater to the international crowd more than I would like to cater to the domestic crowd because the domestic crowd has come in with some sort of an opportunity already. So I went in with the job centric because that is what most of the people, other than those who came for research,
Yeah.
most of the other people who came from South Asia and those other communities across the globe, they came in more with a mindset of how do I tackle this? How do I go about this?
Wow.
So that was my approach, and that won me quite a few votes. And I also got a lot of votes where they were not completely understanding of what I wanted to say. But once I got the stage about it, when I started, we had 3 rounds of voting. So in the second and third, I was able to put my point across on why did I do that.
Right.
The post was not enough. So yeah, that's how I became the officer.
Right.
In terms of how much of a difference it makes, it gives you a lot of skills. It gives you, as we said, as we spoke about, this interaction with the whole, the liaison between university and the student association is the most challenging aspect of any university, because the university will not give you money. They would be scared of giving you money, and the student association will ask for money, which sometimes even you know is not required.
Right.
Right? So that listening is probably the
Yeah.
best chance. Right? That teaches you how to fundraise from someone who does not want to give you money.
Right.
In terms of startup culture.
It prepares you for the business world as well.
Yes.
And it can prepare you for like a professional world as well. How to ask for a raise when your boss is not ready to give you.
Always. Always.
So yeah.
That helps, and then there's always leadership involved whenever you're part of any student union under any sort of circumstances. There's always an aspect, at least in the, as these officer roles, or they are called different things everywhere, but any sort of small leadership role, you always the person to look forward to, who they come with your problems, and then you also have an obligation to, in case something is going wrong, you need to make sure that the whole student body does not act as a mob, which is the biggest aspect where you learn a lot of leadership.
Yeah.
That's where you are trying to convince people who may be against you, who may be with you, to behave in a certain way,
Right.
which is acceptable. So that becomes somewhat of a, it gives you a lot of these sort of skills wherein your soft skills become much better.
Yeah.
Your leadership skills become much better, and your management become, your time management is I think the first thing you learn is time management, because you have so many things to do.
Right.
So
Especially
these things,
studies.
exactly. So those 3 skills are the ones you learn a lot.
Right. So if you can, yeah, go on.
And luckily, I've been a student leader in both India as well here.
Right.
So that helped me a lot, because in India it was much worse. Here it's smoother comparatively.
Yeah.
In India it gets a little bit more challenging because of other factors coming into play. So
Right. So if you can go back into time and talk about, or just mention 3 pressing issues that international students had back then, or maybe a couple of them, and how would you answer them today? Like, what were the most asked questions by international students to you, and how would you answer them today?
the first question that was there was PSW, post study work visa, or as they call it here. At that time, we were all confused. How is it going to work? What is the structure going to be? Because we came in during peak of COVID.
Right. Yeah.
UK was locked down when we came. Basically, it had just opened the lockdown so that people could fly and start the university.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take room in the UK because universities had been waiting for that.
Exactly. So it opened for a brief window of about a month and a half, and everyone flew in, and then everyone started studying, and then the lockdown again.
Yeah.
Basically, so at that time the government had just announced that 2-year visas will be given to students who graduate from here. And at that stage, this was one of those schemes which was not really understood, which now I believe some sort of understanding is there in the market.
Yeah.
But then the problem now which I see is, which students do come up to me again now and then, especially the international students, and they come and ask me, should we just continue doing this on the 2-year visa? Should we do this? Should we do that? And then my answer is always one thing. The 2-year visa is to help you find a job, or help you find your calling in that sense. You can even start a business if you want. Yeah. Under very limited circumstances, the government will allow you.
Right.
But there are a lot of other issues as well. But you can start doing something in that sense. Keep your head open, but don't make this your only reason for coming to UK.
Yeah.
Visas were the biggest issues we everyone faces. Second was getting jobs.
Yeah.
Everyone's scared of, as we discussed earlier, the language, the
Yeah.
accents, and people nowadays come from the smallest of tier two, tier three cities, and who are always scared of whether my English is good enough or not,
Right.
whether I will survive or not. And that was one of the issue which we faced a lot as well. To be very honest, there were communication issues between the university and the students. So what we did was we put in a place a sort of exchange between the professors as well as the students so that they could have a conversation one on one first,
Yeah.
and then they set a pace of what pace the class has to go on.
Right.
And this we did across the board for everyone. So we had this problem was evident for people who came from certain parts of Middle East,
Right.
certain parts of South Asia. Chinese students also face this problem. So we made a small community, we made a focus group, sat them all together in a room, told them converse, just have a conversation about whatever you want, but figure out what pace is comfortable for the both of you.
Right.
Those were probably the two most occurring reasons. And then always it's one big reason is missing home.
Yeah.
And in that
Other
case,
students coming with the fact that they are missing home or they're not able to adjust.
yes, and it was much worse for us as well as because we were locked.
Yeah.
So it became even more of an issue with mental health becoming one of the major issues which we had a meeting over more and more. And I think that time was challenging
Mm-hmm.
personally as well.
Yeah.
But for other students, I do understand when you are sheltered in a particular way, you have been brought up in a particular way. We as Indians bring up our children in a very sheltered manner.
Yeah.
And when you are thrown into the open, it becomes difficult to adjust right away.
Right.
And for that, what I usually used to do was do a lot of icebreakers. So have the whole community set up. We used to do it online, now they do it in person as well.
Yeah.
But we set up this structure of icebreakers where you go and meet people.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are intimidated by that, so we don't push them so much.
Right.
For them, we set up a different, we personally talk to them and then we have the sort of connections we need to make sure that they're comfortable.
Yeah.
But for the others, I just believe socializing is the most important part. I think university, this 1 year, 1.5 year, which you're coming out, I think you should enjoy it to the fullest. You should make friends for. I think the university friends are the friends for life, in my opinion.
Right.
Because people either in my undergrad or the people I study with, they're probably the best friends I'm gonna have for the rest of my life.
I kind of agree. Yeah.
So that's where you, yeah. So that's where you make your connections, and that's where your homesickness goes away.
Yeah. No, I think
Because you make a family away from family eventually.
absolutely, and it is such a strong family because for everything from your mornings to your nights, from your dinners to your going out and shopping and grocery and whatnot, they become a part and parcel of your life for that one particular year. Like you said, it's like a family away from home. And when you go back, especially if you're like from similar cities, and you tend to like catch up every now and then. And it's nice, and especially with the mental health issue, it's so important to stay connected to people around you. I mean, I know living in the UK for all these years, you don't know who your neighbor is. But I would still say make an effort to continue to meet or be in touch with that friend, at least who you know is around you. Because it can get depressing. Let's not, glamorize the fact that no, everybody's friends here, everybody talks to everybody. You don't know who your neighbor is. As simple as that. Now you have to make the effort to go and socialize, to meet people, to talk. So that's where it kind of can break the cycle of feeling lonely or feeling like I don't have friends, because especially the first 3 months, so many students complain or like feel disappointed. I don't have friends. I can't find friends. I can't talk to people. And I'm like, but you need to make the effort. You still need to go out there. And I'm not saying push yourself into groups, but you can push yourself into societies. There's nobody's friends over there. So everybody's like new to the place.
That's what I was going to comment on. Like, go attend whatever the society sort of events are there.
Yeah.
Whatever, if there's a specific college pub, go there. You may drink, you may not drink. I don't care about that part of it. Go if you feel like you're not fitting in, buy a Heineken Zero.
Yeah.
If that makes you feel fit in. If you don't care, have a Diet Coke. No one cares about that. It's the best place to socialize.
Yeah.
That's where people will come, talk to you, and be informal about it.
Right.
And then even after the classrooms, usually that everyone has a coffee or something between lectures and all.
Yeah.
That's a good time to also go talk to people around, have some discussions. It could be about anything, because I also feel when you are a student, your world's your playground, so you can talk about anything.
Exactly.
You're not stuck in a shell.
Yeah.
So that's one of the best places to go.
Right.
Take part in the societies, but do something.
Yeah, do something and make the most of that time. Going back to socializing, and let's talk about socializing online on a professional front. Again, going back to the fact that most important question has been how to find jobs and whatnot. So, do you think LinkedIn, and if yes, to what extent does LinkedIn play a role in finding jobs or having a profile ready for an employer when you are applying?
It is important. Everyone does look at LinkedIn at some stage. Saying that does not matter and stuff like that. I think we're not living in the dark ages anymore, so we know that it is important. Now, to what extent? LinkedIn Easy Apply for me has never worked, honestly.
Right.
So you can use LinkedIn as a job board, but more importantly, you can use LinkedIn as a source to reach out to people who you might think reply to you, to give you guidance about where you want to get into. And by that, what do I mean is, I do not like the word networking, because the connotation is that you are talking to someone who you want something from.
Yeah.
Which is not how usually good relationships work.
Right.
So reach out to people who you might be comfortable with, talk to them, tell them a bit about yourself, ask them their experiences, and then try to see what you bring onto the board for that particular job listing which you have tracked them for.
Right.
That is the most important use of LinkedIn, in my opinion.
Right.
Just bare bone having a network of 1,500 people won't get you a job.
Yeah.
But having a board of 200 people who you can talk to, for sure someone or the other will help you out with that. So that is how I use LinkedIn, and that is how it usually works for me. So that's what I can say.
When you talked about how you hate the word networking, in my 28 years of working, growing up, studying, whatever, this is what I've believed. And you're the first person I've come across who has the same opinion. I hate the word networking, and I think I was having a conversation with someone about a week ago, and I was talking about this. I was like, I hate the word networking. It just doesn't. I just don't understand how people can. I would say selfish. How people can be so selfishly talking to someone to get something out of them, and also in their mind know that they can give something. So how about, like, even in the bigger picture, I just don't get it how people meet each other with the point of view that, okay, this person can get me ABC or can get me to ABC, so let me talk to them. And I believe in connections. Like, if you talk to someone, if you feel that their vibe matches with you, if you talk to someone and if you feel that you can learn something from them, and if you feel, and it's always, and I wouldn't say it's like a give and take relationship, but it's more like when you know that you can learn something from someone else instead of just talking to someone because you can get something out of that person, or because that person is sat at that position, at that place, or with that person, you can grab something from them or get some. I just don't get the idea. I've never gotten the idea, and I hate. And if I find somebody like that, I can sense people who network. I mean, that's something I've gotten because I've come across some really brash networkers, if that's what they're called, and I can sense those people, and then I'm like, and I distance myself from them because I immediately know that you are talking to so and so person, or to myself, or if I see you with somebody else, that you're just making a network. It's not a connection. And you would say it's a connection, but deep down you know it's a network.
It's a network. No, I'll tell you one thing, and it's very funny.
Yeah.
This comes in handy at very weird places in life.
Right.
I had a friend who was working somewhere, I'm not going to name any firms. I'm not going to name anything. Okay.
Yeah.
All I'm going to say is I had one person who I knew who was working in who was from my undergrad. So I studied my undergrad in Manipal, and
Right.
by I don't know. I don't even want to call myself an engineer anymore. But yeah, I studied engineering.
Yeah.
Uh, I had the opportunity somewhere. I was just talking to my friend, and then suddenly I see that the CEO of that firm had studied in Manipal.
Right.
Okay, I sent a message just, and this is purely for the fact that I was curious.
Right.
Like, how do you make that journey from Manipal to being CEO of one of the biggest companies in the world? And I'm not talking about the Microsoft CEO, just FYI,
Yeah.
but someone at a similar level.
Right.
So I just texted him on LinkedIn saying, I'm just curious. I'm pretty sure you're not going to reply to this, but
Yeah.
I'm just curious what your journey was like. He's my mentor now.
Right.
I talk to him in every 2 3 days, and mm, he has told me come work for me. I have said no because the moment I start doing that, that is a give and take relationship, which is not something good.
Right.
I love to talk to him because he gives me knowledge which I will not get from anywhere else. And that is what's important.
Right.
With you, connecting with you as well, it's been more about a knowledge transfer rather than anything else. I learn from you, you. I hope you learn something from me. Is
Absolutely.
basically what I feel, and that's the only reason you can talk.
Yes. And to me, these podcasts, more than I think I must have mentioned it on our first call, to me, these podcasts are not interviews. I'm questioning you.
Mm.
And you are answering, and okay, tata, bye bye, it's done. To me, it's more like a conversation to get to know you better. How was
Mm.
your journey? And then I always go back thinking about my journey. There'll be parts in the videos where I'll be smiling and thinking about my journey. The minute you start mentioning about university, and I'll be like, oh, I could have done that. I should have done that. I could have done that better. Or this is something to learn from this person. And that's how I look at these podcasts, that there is always something to learn from the other person. And it's never an interview for me. It's always like a conversation where in some of the interviews, literally I've spoken more than the person sat opposite to me, because they would share whatever they wanted to share. And then because I always consider it like conversation, so I'd be talking enough and then I'll have to,
Mm.
during my editing bits, then I'll have to edit my parts as to I'm not the one I'm interviewing, and I'm not the one I'm talking to. So yeah, absolutely, it's an exchange of learning, of experiences, and everything else in between.
Well, that is those are the most fun ones.
Oh
Those
yeah.
are always the most fun ones.
Absolutely. So going back to the fact when you mentioned about LinkedIn
Hmm.
and how it can be helpful to any professional
Hmm.
or student who's going into
Hmm.
jobs, what would be your two tips that you would give to any student who's just graduating from university or will be graduating, say, in the next 6 months professionally, in terms of, like, say, a CV, or how should they prepare for looking for a job?
First thing is understand where you want to work and what do you want to do. And by that I mean do not select companies, select the job profile, the job role you see fit for yourself.
Right.
The university is one place where you're trying to learn things, right? You're learning everything. So that whatever subject appeals to you most could probably result up in you being so whenever you apply for a job, go for a job that makes you happy rather than anything else. That
Right.
is the most important thing. Professionally now coming to probably the tips on the CV, keep them specific for each job. Now, by what I mean by that is keep a template. Yes, keep a template. Have your major points, but tailor them to according to what job you're applying to. Read the job description and don't use a bulk CV.
Right.
Don't just keep on applying to everything with one CV.
Yeah.
Tailor it so that someone. I'm pretty sure not a lot of recruiters read CVs anymore, at least for the major companies.
Yeah.
Smaller companies and recruiters they do read CVs. So keep those keywords which are mentioned in the job profile in your CV in different aspects and try to see how you fit for that. Like there might be roles you're interested in, you might not have the best experience for it. So try to make it up in the sense of start start working towards that in your university. So start looking for job not when you're about to graduate, but if you're already in that place, use your soft skills there more often. I think soft skills have become very important on CVs now.
Yeah.
Even when we are looking at CVs ourselves, we do look at soft skills a lot.
Right.
They've become very essential at this stage. And I think also for students who might be starting soon or have like who might be starting in January, I would say start looking at jobs right in January so that you know what you need to do by when you are in like when you are around September.
Right.
You have an idea of what you need to achieve in your university, other than the courses.
Right.
Build up those skills if you lack any.
Yeah.
Those would be my tips for anyone who wants to work in the UK.
Awesome. On a daily basis, how do you keep yourself motivated? You have so much experience that you've just talked about, and you've been in the UK for a long time working, studying. And as we know, living here, it's not just about, working or just studying. There's so much that comes with it. You have to wake up, make your bed, you have to go make your own tea or coffee, then you have to go do your laundry and cleaning and shopping and whatnot, which is not something we've been doing at home. Like we spoke about how Indian food with a very sheltered and protected environment. I did my first round of cooking after coming to the UK. All I knew was a Maggie, omelette, and and how to make tea, which I stopped after the first month because I was so sick of doing dishes. So I was like, I'll go for a black coffee, simple. So yeah, how do you stay motivated and how do you like manage on a daily basis?
So I cook. Cooking is my
After 6 years, I cook like good food.
no, cooking is my go-to for relaxing.
Now it is for me too. Yes, now I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Now I
So
enjoy
for
it.
me, that's one of the things.
Yeah.
In terms of motivation, I think it's all as I said. If you do something you like, you are intrinsically motivated. Then, and that by what that I mean is like that internal motivation is purely for the fact that I love what I'm doing.
Right.
I'm enjoying every bit of it. I have a good life out here. I have my apartment. I live with my partner, so it makes life so much easier
Right.
for me personally. And it's all about that intrinsic motivation because I love what I do. I love my house. It just keeps me going. Like okay, I
Yeah.
need to. It just basically, I'm a happy-go-lucky person in general. So
Right.
for me, the dulls and dulls are only when I know I'm not doing well at work, when I know I might be struggling with certain things, and that's when I try and go out with my friends. I keep close touch with my friends who are my advisors as well at times,
Yeah.
and they keep me going again. So they push me again the right way. I
Right.
just I just try and not think too much about other things. So try to do what I like to do, and that's about it. And just have friends. That's all I would like to say. I have friends who keep me going.
Right. I think to find I was looking for the answer in my head to the fact how to find intrinsic motivation, and I think you answered it well by yourself as well, that if you have no not if you go out with your friends, spend time with your friends, even if that means that one person, just go out. Even if you feel, the days when you don't feel as motivated, even if that means coming from inside, and if you don't feel motivated, if you feel really dull, just go out and
Yeah.
come back feeling fresh and not fresh, feeling fresh and better.
Honestly, even if it's not with friends, just go out.
Just go
As I
out.
said, go for a walk, go see some place.
Yeah.
Go. It's gonna be a controversial opinion, but go to the museums. Museums here are amazing. They're
Right.
beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
They show a lot of history of the world, which, in my opinion, should be returned back to those countries. But
Another day, another topic, another video.
jokes apart, it's actually really it's a good thing to refresh your mind sometimes and do some experiences. If you don't want to go out with friends, just go for some experiences with London. At least London is full of things to do,
Yeah.
and so are the other cities. The whole country is full of things to do.
Right.
So just go out, freshen up, get a change in routine. That's the most important thing. Over the weekends, try to change your routine.
Right.
Because one of the biggest factors for killing intrinsic motivation is monotony.
Yeah.
keep on going, doing the same thing day in, day out, you will get bored. And once that sets in, your motivation starts going down. So
True.
try to change your routine every now and then. Do something different that you pushes you either out of your comfort zone or puts you back in your comfort zone. Either ways,
Yeah.
but do something different.
I think I completely relate to that because the starting of the year has been somewhat like that for me because I was so much in routine of staying at home and not going out and doing anything. The last I was out was, now this is not sad, but this is just me. Last I was out was on the 31st evening with my friends, and then I came back and then I've been home mostly. But seeing my friends in between, but not like for a socializing thing. And then I felt so dull after a week, and I felt like I don't have the motivation to do anything. And now that you mention it, just break that routine of whatever it is that you're comfortable in or not comfortable with, and then do something that can, re-energize you. And that's when I went out for a walk. And that's when the next day I went out just to, further go out for a walk or go see my work colleagues and whatnot. And I automatically felt better. And also talking at home, which really makes a difference. So I kind of do that too. Like if I'm calling too much at home, my family realizes I'm not feeling that well over there. So yeah. Otherwise I'm missing most times, but yeah.
Yeah, my mom just tells me if I call her more than once a day, she
Yeah.
just tell me, you're alone today, you're bored. What happened? Is everything okay?
Exactly, yes.
I think you're my mother. I can call you more than once a day. But
I get
yeah,
that too.
they sense it.
Yeah, they sense it absolutely.
They sense it. I have no idea how, but they sense it. So yeah.
So coming to the end of this podcast, this beautiful conversation where you shared so much, what would be your last bit for any incoming student who's coming in January, who's just reached here, or anyone who's planning to come to the UK to study or work? Your last piece of advice for them?
Make it an experience you're not going to forget for your life. It can mean different things to different people, but make it an experience where you basically have no regrets, experience everything you want to, and enjoy to your fullest while focusing on what you've come here to. Just don't.
Yes.
There's a difference between losing focus and enjoying it with what your aim is.
Yeah.
The university gives you time to explore things which you usually won't have in other senses. If you are at home, you're coming right after undergrad, you have so much more to learn.
Yeah.
If you've worked it before your masters or something, you know for a fact that you have no time when you're working. So this is the only time in your life when you will actually have enough time to both study and explore something else. So
Right.
I think make it an experience you'll never forget. That is the most important thing. Those 12, 13 months of your life will never come back. So
Yeah.
just enjoy them to the fullest.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that last piece of advice, and thank you so much for your time today. I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation myself. I hope you did too. And thank
I
you so
love that.
much for sharing so much of your life, personal, professional, and your time in the UK. I hope it's useful to anyone who watches it, and they can take something out of this video that is helpful to them in the future. But thank you so much for your time today, Vatsal. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
It was lovely talking to you as well. Had a lot of fun. It was
Thank
a great conversation.